If you're a Black American, I need you to stay right here. If you're not, I'll give you a few seconds so you can go on and scroll on by. Great. Okay. We need to have a talk. You know, it comes to a point where supporting and defending your community just is, it becomes so exhausting that you feel this frustration, and you start to understand why people have the Black fatigue that they talk about. The Houston Rodeo, a family event. You have people there fighting, stealing, acting like menace to society, lawlessness, at an event that's supposed to be a fun, family-oriented event. You have Ruth Chris now saying, hey, we don't want to do this, but you guys are forcing our hand. We're going to have to enforce a dress code policy because how you guys are coming in here with your pants sagging, looking sloppy, all of these things, we just cannot allow. So then you sit back and you wonder why other races will say, we have Black fatigue. Guess what? I'm Black and I have Black fatigue. I am tired of the wrong type of people in our community, because let me preface this is not all Black people. This is not. You have people over here making life miserable for other fellow Americans because you have no manners, you have no standards, you have no morals. I don't care how you were brought up. If you were raised in the hood, if you were raised in a suburb, I don't care. Having character and manners will always take you far. So no, I don't blame people when they say, no, we don't want your kind over here. I'm hesitant. I don't blame them. I do not. Because if anything, what it shows is that you cannot call a pattern of facts racism and stereotype. Stereotypes all come from a truth. What a concept.
All right, folks, we are getting into it all tonight, but from a biblical perspective. All right. This is Christian Conservative across time zones and platforms. Your choice for trusted, your source, I should say, for trusted, oh my God, your trusted source for bold, unfiltered news and analysis on the issues that matter most to Christian conservatives. I'm KJ, along with Michelle Talkington.
Hey guys, glad to be here tonight. It's all right, KJ. That gave us fatigue in all kinds of ways. Just watching that video clip and thinking about the topic tonight. Hey, everyone in the chat. Good to see you all. I'm excited about tonight.
Absolutely, folks. We got a great show lined up for you. From faith and family to politics and culture, we tackle the hard truths and stand firm on biblical principles. Join us as we expose the lies, defend our values, and fight for truth in a world that desperately needs it. Come on in. As you come in, hit that like button. This is our last show of May. All right. So this is May 31st. We're closing out the month with a bang. Again, folks, your super chats go a long way in keeping us online, and we appreciate the support. All right. So I want to let you guys know we're going to start out tonight talking about this Black fatigue. Is this, what's the Christian response to this? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to segue into Candace Owens, folks. Got some news out of Russia about Candace Owens, and we're going to show you or explain how this ties into Christian conservatism. So how Christian conservatives should take note about what's going on there. So let's get into this. Firstly, we're talking about Black fatigue. So I want to start off, before you get started, Michelle, by saying it's not about hating Black people. All right. This is the exhaustion people feel when everything in society is forced through the lens of race. All right. It's the leftist, it's the Marxist ideology. This is what this is, where they looking at it through the lens of race, grievance, victimhood, oppression. You guys know we've heard all of it. And sadly, some pastors and political activists in the Black community have helped create that fatigue by preaching racial identity more than biblical identity. All right, we're going to get into that. But Michelle, what did you think about what that young lady said? And what do you think about Black fatigue?
I mean, well, she articulated well what many of us are feeling. And that's many of us in the US, regardless of what our race is, our culture, our ethnicity. You know, it became something that the left, really since George Floyd, all over it was black, Hispanic, Latino. Everybody became, this is who I am first. So like you said just a minute ago, KJ, this is not something we want, we created. Right. The term Black fatigue became a term for a reason. Because everybody was talking about, well, it's my Black culture, and then you see the videos and we see this just rampant, outrageous, obnoxious, illegal, ridiculous. We could go on and on about the behavior we're seeing from what looks to be a lot of Black people. Right. And that's just fact. She said it. We're not just making this up. What we're doing is acknowledging, and what we need to do is acknowledge and then correct. There needs to be a course correction in this, because Black fatigue is real. It's really ghetto fatigue. Really just ghetto. And if Shelley were here, she would say some other kind of fatigue. She would call it one that I'm not going to say on this show. It's Christian conservative. But she would call it a different kind of fatigue, and that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree, Michelle. And let's talk about what she was saying. So for you folks who may not be aware, so the news, this was all over the news, viral videos of the Houston livestock show and rodeo. All right. And apparently there were several people at this Houston rodeo where they just went, it was a mess. They were fighting. People were wearing all types of scantily clad clothing. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 2 to give you an idea of exactly what happened. Wow. So we've been seeing these videos all over social media, not just at the Houston rodeo where that was, but we've seen it in the teen takeovers in Detroit, in Philadelphia, in Chicago, Baltimore. Yeah. This is what we're talking about. We are tired of this, but it's my contention that this type of what we're seeing, this type of these melees, this type of behavior, it's also can be connected to how this black idolatry. What are your thoughts there, Michelle, and also what we saw in the video?
Well, again, I think it's because within the Black community, they were so quick to defend that they accepted and embraced this as if, oh, well, this is just, no, it's not the best, but it's still us, so let's defend. So then it became about being Black. And if you're going to attack this behavior, then obviously you're attacking it because we're Black. No, you look like a bunch of apes in that video. But have you seen the videos of apes in the wild when they rush and attack a rival community, and then they hop around, they hoot, they haw, they act like animals? That's all I could think when I saw that. And that has nothing to do with color. That is an animalistic, that is, somebody said animalistic. Absolutely. That is animal behavior. And so when you have them acting like wild, rampant animals, hooting, hollering, dancing, and this is and somebody said Lord of the Flies. Absolutely. You guys look like a bunch of rabid animals. And I don't care if every one of you went to prison with like solid jail time. I wouldn't care. But the Black community, when you highlight it, say, oh, no, those are just kids being kids. We were young ones. And you're only attacking them because they were Black. And if it was a white group of teens, blah, and then they'd like to just excuse it away. And we're done with the excuses. That's the idolatry. That is the racial idolatry. It comes into excuses you've made and you've attached them to race. They are not the same. Wickedness does not attach itself to race. Evil does not attach itself to race. Evil attaches itself to what it is. This is just wicked, out of control behavior. This is a reprobate mindset.
Right. Absolutely. This is what we're talking about. And so this is what we're trying to connect the dots. We're going to bring it. We're going to talk more about the biblical. Well, Michelle just mentioned a lot of the biblical behavior behind this, but it's racial idolatry. And what is racial idolatry? Okay. It's when skin color becomes the center of identity, not just identity, but morality, politics, justice, law and justice, which we see what you just explained well, Michelle, and truth. All right. And we know that the biblical solution to this is Exodus 20:30. You shall have no other gods before me. So when race becomes the first lens, this is the leftist talking point now, folks. They believe that we are supposed to view everything through the lens of race. All right. This is their their foundation, honestly. When race becomes the first lens, as they mandate, the highest loyalty and the final authority has become an idol. So you see how we're connecting the dots here. So anything that tells you, or anyone that tells you who you are more than Christ tells you who you are, is competing with God. It's not biblical. This idea, this Marxist idea that we should view everything through the racial lens, is not biblical. Okay. And this is what we're going to talk about tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. And it's idolatry as a whole. And it, even end times, we know that the word says that there will come this time where men will be lovers of themselves. And they are. They're not only lovers of themselves, but they're lovers of themselves specifically in racial categories here in the United States. That's not the same in other places around the world. So this problem, what we're seeing here, is almost unique to American culture. And the American far left and the media that has pushed this and has highlighted it and has glorified it through music, and has really infiltrated African American or Black culture. And these are the results.
Right.
So it's sad. But yes, it is idolatry in two forms. It's about you loving yourself above the Lord, above all things. So you saw them. This is all about them. They didn't have any fear. There were no consequences. They were just going to act a fool. And they did.
Right.
But then they were going to cry wolf, meaning cry race, if you say anything, because it's not just because I'm, a woman. It's because I'm a Black woman. It's because I'm a Black child. No, this is because you are participating in disgusting behavior.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not, this idea of race anyway is not even biblical. The Bible does not elevate or degrade anything by skin color. All right. Genesis 1:27. All people are made in the image of God. All right. Acts 17:26. God made from one blood every nation of mankind. All right. Romans 3:23. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Okay. So basically, the Bible doesn't teach Black supremacy, white supremacy, or racial guilt. It teaches sin, human dignity, and salvation through Christ alone. This is what we all talk about on here, folks. So this is a lie of the devil. This is a lie of the enemy. And unfortunately, it has taken hold in parts of the white community as well, or in parts of white culture, but it's definitely taken hold in Black culture. And we are here today to say, folks, we are all brothers and sisters in Christ. All right. We need to come together as Christian conservatives on values. We all share the same values, similar morals, all of that. And it comes from by the Bible. And that's what we need to connect with. That's where we need to come together with. This is why I love this show. I love it. I love you guys. I love this show. We both do, because you all know I have Poppin' Politics as well, which is of course is great. But here, because Poppin' Politics is honestly for conservatives, for everybody, Mm-hmm. But here is where we stand on the Bible and the Bible alone. So
that's right. That's right. Yep. And I say it I know I've said it here on the show multiple times. What do you expect is going to happen when we get to heaven? And I say that to those on the far left about black, or Hispanic, and white. When you and if you've accepted Christ, let's preface this. If you have accepted Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, you make it to heaven, because I truly believe, and we believe here, there is one way. There is no other way. So let's just be clear, everyone's not going to make it. But let's look at that group of young people. Are they going to make it to heaven? Do they know Christ as their Lord and Savior? And when they get there, are they going to go to the segregated part of heaven? To all of those who are completely consumed with their race? Do you think it looks like that in heaven? Do you think you're going to get a special neighborhood where just white people are, just the Hebrews are, and just the people from India? No, we are one. KJ, we are one. And it's all mixed up. You're not even going to have those thoughts, one, because we here in our human flesh have seriously gone awry. But that is nonsense. So I challenge all of those, especially Christians that are Black, and they're Black Christians, that are all about race first, and then talk about God. Well, what's it going to look like when you get to heaven? Please explain that to me. Please explain how that shifts, has disappeared, and then bring it here, because we are that image of heaven here. We are a picture of that. That's why there are so many beautiful skin tones. Why there's so many beautiful people. That's how God created it, and that's how it's going to be in heaven. So you better get over who you dislike,
right?
And because they look a certain way, get over it.
Absolutely. And folks, as you come in, hit that like button. We want to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. Also, if you agree, your super chats, they go a long way in keeping us online. It's the last day of the month. Yeah. So we would appreciate your super chats tonight. But again, I don't know many shows that are talking like us, Michelle. I don't know many shows. We have multiple conservative shows here on YouTube. Many are great. I love conservative YouTube. But when they talk about it, we push it out there with the racial connection. We got to tear these racial walls down. We can't let them divide us this way, because this is how they conquer us. And I'm not even just talking about, I'm talking about biblically, but also just from a national standing. This country was founded on Christian values. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm seeing now is the left and globalists are all kind of coming together and trying to destroy us from within by dividing us racially. Okay. This is why they love to push this whole, difference of races and things. But folks, we can't let them do it. We cannot. It is a trick of the enemy. And I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. All right. But let's talk about these pastors that are pushing and peddling this crap as well. Okay. We got to talk about Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton, all of them. These are pastors who have become race preachers, not gospel preachers. All right. And we got to call them out. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 4.
the 5 books every Black person needs to read, or what?
Okay. The Souls of Black Folks.
Yes.
Okay. By W.B. Du Bois.
Yeah.
As well as I know books, Alice Walker's The Color Purple.
Yeah.
I think is a necessary reading.
Agreed.
From Slavery to Freedom.
Yeah.
By John Hope Franklin.
Not Bryant.
Not Bryant. The Autobiography of an Ex-Slave. Okay.
I haven't read
You
that.
haven't read that one? Okay.
Who's that by?
That's Frederick Douglass.
No,
I
I haven't read it.
Oh, you haven't read it?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
By Frederick Douglass, and then, or is that Booker T. Washington? See, Jamal got me all nervous up here, y'all.
No. This
I'm
is what
normally
you do in
the
your
bastion
sleep.
of calm.
Yes, this is what you do.
Well,
easy.
it is,
breathing.
but when you're sitting,
Come on now,
on the
don't
Let's
do that.
Make It Clear podcast,
Give me the 5th one. You owe me one
okay,
more.
I owe you one more. Okay, so the other one is Race Matters by Cornel West.
Oh no, that's great.
Yeah, those are my top 5.
Surprise, surprise. He hadn't read the one book in the list that did not push racial idolatry, which was the book by Frederick Douglass. The rest of them were all leftist, Marxist, foundational books in the Black community. I've read Souls of Black Folks. I've read what was the other? I read Frederick Douglass book, and there was another one on there I had read. But the rest of them are all Marxist, books. What are your thoughts, Michelle?
Yeah, and I think they posted one and then took it off because he had it mixed up with the Up From Slavery. Actually,
Slavery. I've read Up From Slavery. That was a good one.
I have Up From Slavery. My kids have read that. 3 of my kids, so they read it as one of their middle school reads. And by the way, it's not assigned to Black children. That's the problem. Once again, he said, this is what you need to read as a Black person. These are books you can read as a person. Let's try that. Let's try what you can read. And frankly, let's see if you can read, because you want to talk about what you need to read. Half the kids in that crowd that we just saw can't read because they've been failed by the public school education. They're coming out and having, we've seen the clips. We've actually played the clips of their reading comprehension. But you're right, KJ. Focus on these books. And what do those books do? Now, I'm all about history. Like I said, I've read 4 out of the 5 of his list. And I have them on my bookshelf right now. I actually saw that. And I was like, I have all of those.
I have the Souls of Black Folk. I have the Souls of Black Folk, and I have the Frederick Douglass one. I think I've read at least one of those additional ones. I've read the one by Cornel West. But I read them all when I was a leftist. Pretty much. Because they're books that they give to leftists. There was always that debate between W.E.B. Du Bois and what's his name, the other Booker T. Washington, and I was always on W.E.B. Du Bois's side, because it was all about that. It was all about the double consciousness. That was the idea in the Souls of Black Folks. The idea that we see as a Black person, you're seeing yourself through your own eyes and through the eyes of like the country or the society, really, that despises you. This is what the book is about. Okay. And in there's some things in there where, makes a little sense, but when you think about it, there again, he's describing this historical experience, not a biblical view of how first, you look at things through race, second, through oppression, and then maybe through God. This is what they want you to do. And that book is typical of what they want us to believe is the Black experience in not just America, but in the world. But we know through Christ Jesus in 2 Corinthians 5:17, it says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. All right. Galatians 2:20, it is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. So folks, we as Christians should be teaching our young people, Black, white, blue, purple, whatever, that in this world, you are the image bearer of God. So when you move, they see Christ in you, not you being a Black person, not you being a white person. But the leftists, this whole idea, this whole Black supremacy, black, whatever you call it, they want us to see black first in everything, oppression first, and it's not biblical.
I love what you were saying. That's all I thought about is they want you to hold on to black supremacy at the same time of black oppression, that you are oppressed, but you're supreme. So they need you to be divided either way. They don't care as long as you're angry. Let's just be plain about it. They don't care as long as they separate you. As long as you're separate and focused on something that is not going to get you ahead, that's not going to, in society, that's not going to draw you closer to Christ, that is not going to draw you closer to your neighbor who could look like anything. They need you to be separate. And those books want you to focus on the past. So most people who are reading them now in their African American studies courses are not reading them so that they can look at it from a historical context. They're actually reading it and then they're applying it to right now. You are not in a field. I don't know any of you that are picking cotton unless you actually bought that farm and you wanted to make money. That's not what you're doing right now. So I don't want to hear how bad you feel about the ancestors that you have who may or may not have actually been slaves. That's a whole nother conversation, because I hear a lot of the people talking. I'm like, yeah, but you may have been related to the man who actually was black and owned more slaves. And, you might want to brush up on your history and realize that there were many black slave owners. Like, you don't know where you came from. So do some research first. Every black person is not related to a slave.
Right.
Everyone is not. That's reality. But they want to take that mentality and bring it and apply it today. And even if you were, which I actually know that I was, my ancestors were slaves. We know where they came from. In fact, they're still in the same area in Texas, generation after generation after generation. I did the genealogy work. So we know that. That doesn't define who I am. Nope. That didn't stop me from building a business because somebody owed me money. I'm going to wait on it. I'm going to go and get reparations from it. That's never going to happen. This is nonsense. They want you to focus on what happened to your ancestors as if it happened to you. And KJ, you are right. When you find Christ, you are a new creation. So none of that happened to you. And yet they want you to carry that burden. And what does God say about those burdens? Where should you be giving them? It is not for us to carry that yoke or that burden that our ancestors fought and died for so we could be here in the United States. Frankly, I'm grateful for however God had to have it that I got to this nation. This is where I was born in this time for what he has called me to do. Mm-hmm. The leftists, the Marxists, they don't want you to think that way. They need to keep you in this box. They need to keep you voting a certain way. They need to keep you under thumb a certain way, because look what happened in the 40s and 50s. Black culture didn't look like this. It was highly successful. Mm-hmm. Businesses were thriving. Communities were thriving. Those children would have been taken up and beat by their grandparents before their mom and dad ever got a hold of them. You wouldn't have seen that behavior in the first place. So that's where we're at. It's where they need us to be.
Right.
You're right.
And particularly with the Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois. Again, you mentioned it very well. This idea of this double consciousness, folks, that can become spiritual bondage. All right. And I remember reading this in high school, and I was like, wow, listening to it, Talented 10th, all that stuff. And basically, and when you read it, you start to think like what they're talking about. As you mentioned, because the teachers generally want you to apply it to current day, okay? And you wind up saying you other yourself, And if Black people are taught that their deepest self-understanding, it always comes, or it can be filtered through whiteness, racism, and oppression, then even freedom becomes implausible, because the mind stays chained to the oppressor.
Right.
But that's why they want us. They want us like this. You brought up a very good point, Michelle. This is how the left wants us, because then they use that to attach it and say we are still oppressed, we are still in chains, which we're not. But many of the people in the Black community are enslaved in their mind. They are in mental enslavement because they are being told that they are oppressed. Yep. And the only reason why they're being told that is because it pays meaning the Democrats, they get paid to keep us in mental bondage. Okay. But if you are truly a child of God, all right, if you are truly, born again Christian, as the Bible talks about, the gospel does not call Black people to spend their lives seeing themselves through the white people's eyes. All right. The gospel calls all people to see themselves through Christ. And so that's why that Souls of Black Folk, he as a pastor should not be pushing that book at all. All right. But he does it anyway, because he's one of those pastor grifters that, wants us perpetual victims. And so this is what they do. This is exactly what they do. And we can push back against it. So
it's just rich that the ones that are doing it are the ones that have the money, the wealth, or the means to get out of those areas, right? So often the ones that are coming to the aid of those youth that are in those circles acting crazy, like the videos we saw, are the ones that are sitting in mansions with multiple vehicles, or they have, at least 6-figure salaries, if not 7. But they need to keep all the rest of them. They need to keep all of the rest of you oppressed and attached to your identity as being Black first. They need that. Mm-hmm. It's Satan needs that, frankly. Right. He needs you always to be away from God, separated and focused on one area. And that is what disturbs me, that he was able to do it and capture a culture.
Right.
And he does it over and over. But to capture a culture that at one point was devoted to Christ, was moving, and has some of the most amazing, tremendous pastors leading the way, to attach itself and to capture even the youth. It is destroying generations with racial idolatry.
Right. And I'm not saying people shouldn't read the books. Okay. I mean, if you want to, they're well-written books, to read. He also mentioned Alice Walker's
Color Purple,
which of course many of us know from the book. I'm sorry, from the movie, but it was originally a book. I mean, it's always been one of my favorite movies. Honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I love the movie. But from looking at this from a Christian perspective and hearing pastors name these books as books every Black Christian should read, no way. And so this is why it's good to kind of take all this into context. And the context that they were putting this in was saying that somehow these books will impact your Christian walk. That's what I'm getting out of him saying every Black Christian should read these. It's not, no, because what these books do in the context of any type of, if you're looking at them for identity, they other us. It's the othering of these books. All right. They teach that racial experiences make them spiritually or morally distinct from others. This is what these books do. This is what they make Black people do. And so it's not a good thing for Christians to read if you're looking for something biblical, because they are not biblical at all. Definitely The Color Purple is not.
That's what got me on that one, is that he made that list. And again, he should have been uncomfortable. He was like, I'm a little uncomfortable here. He put me on the spot. Yeah, you probably should have just sat it out and said, you know what? I don't have a list. But the only book that I need to tell you is the Bible, and you should read it 5 times. Top 5. King James Version, NIV version. He could have gone through all the different variations of the Bible. That's what he should have stuck to, because you're right. You bring this, and every Black, white, I don't care the color. We don't need to, we can read this and context of when it happened, but they want you to read it and apply it, like you said, KJ, to now, as if that's your lived experiences. Those books are not your lived experiences. You are not Booker T. Washington. Mm-hmm. You are not them. They are long gone. And read any book you want to, right? I love reading. I'm an avid reader, thousands of books at home. But when you start taking that and applying it to your lived experience, then you end up looking like those squad members and the clowns that we play here, and they pretend like that's what they went through, and it's not. It's like they're putting on a character because of something that they were told to read, or I read, and this was their experience. And because they were my ancestors, you weren't related to them.
No.
You didn't go through that. You were middle class. You went to college. You went to Ivy League schools. Like, this is, and even those kids, I'm going to go back to the youth, because they like to say, well, look at those kids that are, they need to read this. Look at what they've gone through. They have iPhones. They've got nice clothes on. They've got weave that's more expensive than what I could pay for it. Like that, some of their hair costs more than what my grocery bill is. Let me just say, and they sat for hours to get it. Those kids in that big, large group that were acting like degenerates, they didn't have the lived experience of our ancestors, of their ancestors, of the slaves. Absolutely not. So they're trying to tie this in. And at the end of the day, KJ, it's not biblical.
Nope, it's not. And these are pastors. That's the sad part about it. But folks, and you mentioned it, Michelle, a pastor who keeps you loyal to race but doesn't lead you to Christ is not shepherding. He is using you. All right, folks. But, getting back to just the impact this is having on our communities, on our youth, this is why the Black community is in the state that it's in. This racial idolatry creates bad fruit. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 3.
Video from the evening of Memorial Day shows large crowds of teens taking over 57th Street Beach and streets in Hyde Park. Police said there were several hundred. The rowdy crowd is seen fighting, dancing on top of squad cars, and throwing objects at officers as police tried to clear the area. Chicago police say 53 people were arrested and 9 weapons, including guns, knives, tasers, and bear mace, were recovered. About half of those charged were minors for things like weapons charges, reckless conduct, and failing to disperse. Police are also still searching for the gunman who shot and injured an 18-year-old and 2 19-year-olds just hours after the crowd moved into Hyde Park later that night, just blocks away.
Yeah. Sadly, this is not an incident that we don't see, and we haven't seen countless and countless times again and again. Folks, when you teach people that they're oppressed because they are, well, I would say before they're accountable, you should not be shocked when accountability starts looking like oppression to them. All right. This is what we get. This is the fruits of this Black idolatry, this racial idolatry. People are trained to believe skin color determines their moral status. And what it does is it creates, I'll say it produces entitlement, resentment. A lot of Black folks out here are resentful, bitterness, and lack of personal responsibility, amongst other things. But these are like some of the main things that I think about. I got a story to tell too for you. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
Well, it does. All those things you listed most certainly were not the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, meekness, faith, kindness. Yeah. Right. All of that. It definitely wasn't that. And you're right, KJ. But again, there's no right now what we are seeing, because the left was able to convince us of this racial idolatry and this oppressed versus oppressed, the oppressor. They have judges that got elected and people that got elected and let these youth and adults, grown adults, and even illegals commit these crimes, put them back on the street. So there's no consequences. And this is what we're seeing. So we have all of this entitlement mentality, and then no consequences for bad behavior. Mm-mm. They said they were jumping and dancing on squad cars. Never in my life would I even think to approach a police officer's vehicle and touch it. No. Not go on it and dance and twerk like I've lost my ever-loving mind. I know. What is wrong with them? And then they go home. Oftentimes the parents are like, well, yeah, they deserved it and blah, blah, blah. And they're just targeting you. And they try to encourage them that it's not their fault. What? We have to have consequences. There are consequences for your action, because at the end of your life, the consequence is life eternal in heaven and hell. We have to understand that there's a real picture that is going unlooked. So not only are they getting away with things, KJ, here, but eternally there is a problem. And if they think there's no consequences for the decisions they make, they're going to be sadly mistaken if their time comes without receiving Christ.
Right. Absolutely. And I'll share with you this. So I was talking to a group of Black moms. And when I say Black moms, all the moms, there was a group of them, and we were all Black. And one mom who we all, our kids attend the same school, and it's a private school. And I'll preface this by saying, I don't know how these people, I don't know how the kids attend the school, but it could be they're paying full out, it could be scholarship, it could be, I don't know what it is. But one of the moms said, because again, we're coming up on graduation, many kids are graduating, and she was saying how, I'm so I want to, when my child first started this school, I was nervous because I knew this school was not a place for him. This was not a space for Black children. But because her child was graduating now. But after time, he's had a great time here, and this has been a great experience, and and she went on and on. Okay, and so I'm looking, I'm like, why would you say that? Why would you go into this situation just because the school was not a predominantly Black school? You go in thinking this was going to be a sort of like an aggressive situation or a bad situation because most of the kids are not the skin color of your child. First of all, why are you putting the child in the school in the first place? Then, if you're thinking that, if you're thinking this isn't going to be a positive experience, but this is what, unfortunately, this is what a lot of Black people think when they go into situations that are where it's not predominantly Black. They think this is going to be a situation where their child is going to be othered, is going to be oppressed because everyone does not look like, is not the same skin color as their child. That is not of God. The thinking, the mindset is not of God. And then this idea of othering. But this is what leftist Black folks do. Not just leftist white leftists do the same thing. What are your thoughts on that, Michelle? Have you encountered anything like that before?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All the time. To which I say, again, here I was, my background, I was one of the only Black kids in an all white school in Utah.
Right.
Me and my sister, like literally, there was like 20, you could count 20 out of the whole school. And then my husband was the only white boy essentially in an all Black school here in Oxon Hill. His nickname was Ghost because of it. They were like, sending the white boy. He was the ghost. He looked like, so that's what his nickname was. So we had those experiences, but when we were there, we didn't go in thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so Black. What am I going to do? And I got called all kinds of names, and it didn't bother me. My parents were like, well, you're at school. Those kids are just ignorant. Okay, great. So I dealt with it where it's like, well, those are just stupid people. But no, they need you to put, this is racist, this is this is that. And you have to have this notion of having a safe space. Let me tell you what, that is the most ridiculous thing. When it started coming out, people had to have a safe space. And I'm not knocking mental health because it came out when there was this big push, and there still is, for mental health. We need mental health, but your mental health is not about, oh my gosh, I don't feel safe around somebody who I've never met before because they might not like me. That's an insecurity. You don't need to be saved from that. You don't need a separate room with a separate group of people that just look like you. That's more isolation to me. Exactly. What you need to do is get over it, get to class, go read a book, go do your home schoolwork. All of these safe spaces also helped create this environment of isolation and othering, because everybody had to care about how you feel, and they had to go out of their way to protect how you felt. This young person, whoever they were, KJ, and I say that to other young people, I've written, help people get into college multiple times for homeschooling parents, but get there with the mindset that God put you in the best school because you have a gift and talent, and that's what you should be focused on. Go in there and make new friends in school. You're going to get one of the best professors. You're in the right environment for what you're going to do with your career. Why is race in there at all? At all. That's the proof that the left has pushed through media and through churches, unfortunately, and other outlets, that this should be status quo, that's what you should think of first. It shouldn't even be in your top 5 thoughts. You have a lived experience, yes, not negating that. When I go into rooms, I know when I got a different tan than everybody, I know that. I'm not stupid, but I don't focus on it because I go in and I say, I have the authority of God. I'm walking in with God and I'm shining with the light of Jesus and I'm going to smile. And usually everybody, no matter what, they're like, wow, you seem really happy. It's nice to meet you. Yesterday on the street, somebody came and was like, hey, how are you? I thought I knew him because I meet a lot of people on the campaign trail. And then he introduced his name. He's like, I don't know you. You look really happy and you look like somebody I should say hi to you. Like, you're really nice. That's how we actually function.
Right.
That's the reality the majority of the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the crazy thing about it is when people like you and I, when Black Christians who reject racial idolatry are, when we speak out against it, we're called sellouts.
Oh, all day long.
We're told that we're betraying our people because we won't embrace this oppressive mindset. So we're treated as if, we're not really Black because we refuse to worship Blackness. But biblically, loyalty should be to Christ. That comes before loyalty to some tribe or whatever. Even if we're going to do it, you shouldn't even be doing it anyway. But that's what I'm saying. But they call us sellouts because of it.
They tell me I'm not even Black in the first place. You're mixed in. Your mom's white. I said, well, that's interesting because you want to talk about slavery. Then the people that you're outcrying and you're talking about, the women they were octoroons, one drop. It was called One Drop. So some of the books, let's think about Thomas Jefferson, everybody else that you want to talk about, all of those women and those characters, you want to talk about them. They were lighter than me. Mm-hmm. But right now to you, they were the darkest of the slavest of the slaves. They were like extra uber slaves. I'm like, they would have looked like me. So you can't have it both ways. And that's what the left also wants to do. They want to, like I said, it's because it's not really about race. They want to cry that it's about race, but it's about being lovers of yourself. It's not just your color, because otherwise we wouldn't have this issue in politics when we have Black women like myself running for office and then Black culture. Oh, we got to vote for the Black woman. Oh, but you are a Republican. So we can't do that. We can't see eye to eye. So it's not even about color. It's not about race. And let's stop pretending that within the Black culture, you don't go after people, like you said, like I just said, for being light skinned. Well, you don't count because you haven't had my experience because you're not dark enough. You're not light enough. You don't look African. They just put all kinds of nonsense on top of it. It's never enough. That's the problem. It's never going to be enough.
It's never. And as you mentioned, it's never going to be enough. And you know why? Because the Bible talks about it in Galatians 1:10. If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ, basically. So that's what it is. We're not supposed to please them. I'm not any less Black because I refuse to make Blackness my God. And this is why I go back to, this is why this channel is so important, folks, because we rebuke that type of language, that type of mindset. Okay. So back to this whole idea of Black fatigue, is Black fatigue Christian is kind of what we wanted to talk about at the top of the show. And my answer to it, and I'll let you respond, Michelle. Mm-hmm. My answer is it depends. All right. It's not Christian to hate or mock or despise Black people. That's one thing, but it is reasonable and biblically defensible to be weary of sin, manipulation, and false teaching. Yeah. All right. And that's what we're seeing in this leftist mindset, this Black idolatry that we're seeing. My thing is the Christian response is not hatred. The Christian response to me is discernment. And a lot of us Christians are tired of this Black mindset, this watch and see everything through the lens of Blackness. What is your thoughts on that? Do you believe is Black fatigue Christian?
First, Black fatigue is real.
Right.
So it's a real thing. And we're here. And like I said, it was created because we have so many instances that it's not a one-off. This has become a cultural problem. And if just like the leftists have run the Democrat Party, I almost call them Democrat Party, but you know what I mean. They've run the Democrat Party and they're a 10%. If this is the group of young people that we have seen in clips that have gone viral, in less than a month, frankly, you can pull up these clips from everywhere. That's the 10% that's leading. then yes, it is absolutely right to say enough is enough. This is now dominating your culture. Sodom and Gomorrah, enough is enough. And if they can do it in the Bible and God can say, I am going to wipe them out. We are going to do something about this. We are going to call it out. And he does. You call out sin. There is never a time in the Bible where God does not say, leave sin alone. Don't say anything about it. Absolutely not. In fact, those parents, and if those children go to church, whatever they're learning, they will be held accountable. God is looking at them. Train up a child in the way that they should go. If this is the training that these children are getting, then we need to call it out. And we need to call it out biblically. Yes, you can be a Christian and absolutely have Black fatigue, just like I can have Islamic fatigue, and I can have fatigue about a lot of groups that are not biblical, that are not exemplifying what it is to be moral, to be ethical, to walk in a Christian manner. Frankly, I'm mad as an American, even if we were to separate it from being Christian. We should be upset and outraged by the behavior that some are saying is okay. So no, you can be a Christian, absolutely, and have Black fatigue. Is it biblical? Yes, because you can call it whatever, you call it another name. You know what I have fatigue with? Sin and stupidity. Right. I have fatigue with foolishness. You can go to Proverbs. You can go to, we can go to a lot of, we could list 25 verses right this second on what we saw in those videos. And we need to call it out. And oftentimes it needs to come from a higher source. It needs to come from pastors. It needs to come from podcasts that these kids, it needs to come from places like this, Christian Conservative. And we need to empower you in the chat to say something too. Absolutely. Don't be quiet about this anymore. We were quiet. And that's how this got out of control. That's what happens when you have children that don't get punishment. You didn't slap them on the hand. You maybe gave them a little time out and they do it over and over. And you're like, it's okay. It's okay. No, this was not okay. Now these kids are adults. Right. And this is
dangerous. They're dangerous now.
They said knives. They said guns. They said bear spray. Look at all the things that they're bringing. And then later that day, somebody was shot.
Right. Yeah. Folks, again, I agree. I 100% agree with you, Michelle. The Bible calls for us to expose the unfruitful works of darkness. In Ephesians, it says that. So yes, I think having Black fatigue is Christian, is a biblical thing. You can have it. And we're going to continue to talk about it and call it out. All right. So as you all come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience. And we appreciate the support. All right. We are a smaller channel here, but we are growing. Our goal is to hit 20,000 subscribers. So we can do it, but we need your help. So please hit that like button, share this video, share it in a DM, post it on your social media, send it in a text message. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. All right. So let's keep it going. We want to switch gears a little bit. Still staying on the Christian conservative, mindset, but we want to talk about Candace Owens. All right, folks, Candace Owens is a Duganite. Do you all know what that is? Well, we're going to explain it to you. All right. So she announced earlier this week, within the last couple of days, that she was heading on a family trip to Russia to see the Christian cathedrals, is what she said. All right. And she also said that people would make it seem sinister. Well, folks, we don't have to make it seem sinister. It is. All right. While she's there, she's also being interviewed on Russian state TV. Photos or stills of her there at the Russian state TV were released. We have them here, I believe. Okay. Here she is. She is on Russian state TV. She's being interviewed. All right. And she's also she arrived in Moscow and she will speak at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum later this week. The acronym for it is SPIEF, S-P-I-E-F. It's this economic forum is sort of the equivalent of WEF and they're calling it sort of like Russian Davos. You all know what WEF is, the World Economic Forum. And it's a major global political and economic event. All right. At this place, she'll be giving speeches and things right alongside one of the biggest speakers and minds, in Russia, Alexander Dugin. All right. Here he is here. He's also speaking at this same event. All right. Here's the flyer for the event. There she is as one of the speakers. Okay. And here is Alexander Dugin, who is also a speaker at this Russian event. All right. So this is what it is. And so why is this news? Some people are asking, why is this big? All right. Well, Alexander Dugin, this guy, okay, he's a problem, folks. All right. He's not merely a political theorist. He's a revolutionary ideologue, okay, who believes liberal democracy must be destroyed. The West must collapse into spiritual chaos before a new world order can emerge. And truth is subjective. Morality is negotiable, and chaos is a political weapon. All right. Take a look at this next clip where Glenn Beck he's been sounding the alarm on this for the last at least 10 years about this guy. Before we get you in here, Michelle, take a look at what he's saying about this Alexander Dugin. All right. Let's see here.
Factions, all Shia should join the final battle. Enough with the sectarian factions. All Shia should join the final battle. All real Muslims also. It's a unique chance to achieve the victory over the common enemy. In 2024, he also said we should give nukes to the Palestinians and nukes to anyone who would fight against the real enemy. Again, us. Here's what I posted yesterday in response to Alexander Dugin. I have warned you about this man literally since the late 1990s. He is crazy, evil, a Rasputin figure that believes the entire world needs to be washed in blood, just as the Shia 12ers in Iran believe. He just thinks Russia will survive. Ha! Islamists will eat all of us if we don't unite. This can very well turn into the final battle, as this is what all of these people want. Pray for the Republic. Dismiss him at your own peril. His puppets are in our media, EDU, mosques, and churches. So
before we keep going on a little bit, what he's saying and what he's going to say, and what I've seen also, is that Alexander Dugin is dangerous because his goal is to destabilize America from the inside out. But he wants to do it from the right. He wants to do it on the right because he believes conservatives are spiritually vulnerable to manipulation. And he sees this, or he believes this can be done through the anti-establishment anger. He understands how we are more conspiratorial. He believes he can do this through Christian language twisted into nationalist mysticism. And he knows that we are frustrated with corrupt institutions. All right. Michelle, what are your thoughts on this before we continue?
I mean, yes, and yes. This man is dangerous, but there's quite a few out there that are. And at this point, I'm not so upset that it's being highlighted again. It's where we keep seeing the true colors of people. We're seeing who they're going to be around. And sometimes for us, exposure is the best thing. We saw what happened under the Biden administration, which is why we did what we did for change. This is that same kind of thing biblically, but this is international. This is where we start looking at what's happening at the international level that is intentionally coming in to destroy us. And this man has always been he's been around a very long time. Dugin has been around a very long time, guys. But just like Marxists have been around a very long time with the same goal.
Right. Yeah. But the thing that kind of makes it different for me this time is he has taken hold of some giants, at least in the podcasting realm or space on the right. So we already know that he has been connected to Candace Owens, to Tucker Carlson, maybe even Megyn Kelly now. I don't know. All right. But and he's pushing he's pushing his theories and his thinking into them, which is then being broadcast to millions in the right in so-called conservative spaces. Take a look here. This is Glenn Beck going into a little bit more.
I'm not going to convince everybody here. If you don't think that China is influencing our media and our universities, you probably don't believe Russia is either, or that Iran Shia 12ers actually mean to wash the world in blood, or that Hamas raped and killed women on October 7th. And if you don't believe that, you also must believe that, money and sleepers from Iran, are here plotting and planning against us. If you don't believe any of those things, I'm not going to convince you about one guy in Russia who most people have never even heard of, is a threat to us. And if you don't believe in...
Curious, please sound off in the chat, folks. Have you all heard of Alexander Dugin? I know I see a couple people. I know LJ and a couple people have said they have. But I'm curious to see how many have heard of him. And also want to ask you, do you believe that he is targeting the American right? Let us know.
Any of that stuff. I'm not going to try to convince you. It's clear this story, maybe this program is not for you. But for those who do not wish to push their head in the sand, let me begin here. Who is Alexander Dugin? And what did he say to make me say that yesterday online? Most Americans have never read any of his scholarly books. Few could summarize his worldview because, again, most have never even read him. A lot of people in the country will have read him they'll grab bits and pieces from sometimes his favorite podcasters, and they'll think, wow, this guy's really on the right path. But with Dugin and his acolytes, you have to be extraordinarily careful because the surface may seem like, oh my gosh, look at that. That's just a smooth river there. But the undertow will drag you down, beat you to death, and leave your lifeless body on the rocks near the shoreline in no time. Now, with that said, just because nobody really knows him or his ideas, that doesn't mean his ideas aren't moving, because they are. Dugin is a political thinker, but not just a political thinker. He is a guy who is obsessed with civilizational conflict. He believes liberal democracy, individual liberty, and Western values are not just wrong, but all must be destroyed. At the center of his philosophy is something that I think is deeply unsettling. The belief that our current world order over the entire world must collapse violently.
So let's stop it there. So when I first started listening to him, now I knew who he was, but I did want to hear what he was saying. I was thinking, well, what's so bad? I mean, the guy, he sounds like a conservative. When you first listen to him, he sounds like a conservative. But then when you start to really dig in, you realize that because he sounds the alarm on a lot of things. He talks about, this idea of going back to tradition, and he speaks out against the trans ideology and all of that type of stuff. But when you really dig deep, he preys on sort of the anger that a lot of us conservatives, even Christian conservatives, have, sort of like censorship, abuse of power, cultural decay, and then he tries to push people toward radical anti-American alternatives. All right. He kind of blends orthodoxy, pagan mysticism, and end-time spiritualism. And then he tries to create some pseudo-Christian nationalism that, folks, is not biblical. It's not biblical. All right. and he wants Christian. I think he wants a Christian looking movement, but it's not Christian at all. What are your thoughts there, Michelle?
Well, I have not read his works other than knowing who he is, but there's a lot of philosophers that I have not read their works because I know where their works end.
Right.
Meaning I've known enough of them or researched enough, and I think he's in his, what is he, in his 60s now? So he's not,
Right.
this is not some long and gone philosopher. He's a modern day philosopher, and his school of thought is not new because there's nothing new under the sun. And again, it goes down to that I know many people that seemingly through history really were just spouting Marxist views, and they kind of repackaged it. I mean, we've had people on the show that have talked about, let's really look at Martin Luther King and what he was saying, what he was perceived to be, but what he actually wrote. So let's look at this social gospel versus the real gospel. This man is dangerous. And I say, and we're going to learn more about it. But KJ, again, what bothers me, you can't discount someone especially in today's age, because look at the likes of a Charlie Kirk could do. He could create an empire and a movement, and in less than 10 years and change what America was, because he helped to get different people elected. And he actually helped the career of some of the ones that we're seeing now latch on to this man who wants our ultimate downfall. Like Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons, the Nick Fuentes, who's seemingly, I'm just the guy's guy. I'm going to play it this way, get enough likes. And then all of a sudden he went full extreme and, likes comments by Hitler. And it is dangerous. It is dangerous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he's tricky because I call him sort of like the spiritual Marxist. Okay. Because he sounds like, that he's speaking, about biblical issues and things like that, but he's really not. And that's why we have to start reading our Bible, folks. We got to start reading our Bible. We got to start praying, asking God to open our eyes, bless us with discernment, and reveal things to us that are trying to be deceive us, and also be hidden from us. Okay. Because again, like I mentioned, this guy, he's tricky, but when you listen with a keen ear, and you look, for what it is, it's Marxism wearing a cross. All right. And we can't be deceived. So I encourage you guys to check out Glenn Beck's full video on this guy, because what we have to do as conservatives, and this is just what I think, we got to return to biblical Christianity, and I'm talking about biblical Christianity, where we're not, picking and choosing sides and colors and all this type of stuff. Not mysticism or rage. And let me tell you, I actually fell into this because when I look at the world now, especially as a Christian conservative, and I see, the gender ideology, I see, the censorship, them trying to take away our rights, trying to enlarge government, not becoming God, and just the crime and all of it, this hatred on the left and things. Sometimes I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, it's so much chaos. We need we need a civil war, or we need, I don't know. Sometimes I get radical and I'm just like, I'm just tired of all these people. I'm tired of these leftists. They make me sick, really. But I remember that God is not a God of chaos. No, we don't want to, sort of go into mysticism or rage. If you find yourself moving towards rage, and towards an emotional revolution, that's not of God. We want to return to biblical Christianity. We want to stand firm on the Constitution, but we don't want to be turned into rage, burn it all down sort of thing. That's not of God. What are your thoughts there, Michelle? Because I hear that on the right all the time,
I've said it in my house. There's times I'm like, just burn it all down. Just get rid of it. Just wipe it all. Just wipe them all out. Like, again,
I've said it too.
It's because I get a little angry and I go Old Testament. It's just, that's what it is. So maybe it's what I'm reading, folks. No, the Bible is true. I love, but there's times where I'm like, Lord, I see your point. Like, God, before you sent Christ, I really get it, because you see things like this. Yeah, I'm not quick to anger the way that I used to be.
Okay.
But I am quick to figure out what's happening. I think I'm a lot faster in discerning. And so when you're quick to anger, you're not taking the time to discern. And I think we need to be quick to discern, and then we need to be better at solutions. And I say that because, again, we're watching this Dugan clip, right? I'm gonna go back to Candace. Candace was trying to play this off like she made some comments on this, or she might meet him, like she might talk to him, as if she didn't really know that he was going to be there, except for Candace Owens knows exactly who's going to be at the conferences before she shows up. Her entire team knows who's going to be there, knows who she's going to be sitting next to. So let's just stop playing coy. Like, oh, I don't know. Well, my fans kind of want, the haters kind of want me to talk to him. So maybe I'll have a conversation. Please give me a break. She knows who's going to be at this conference. I'm surprised and interested to know why she's even there. What qualifies her apart from her media status, apart from, again, bringing kind of a defector from what should be constitutional or conservatives or Christians, all the things that she said she was. And here she is in Russia.
Right.
That's not lost to me. And here she is, and here all of those guys are, and they're kind of quoting, they're leaning into Dugan theories. And I think LJ called him a madman. He's like a mad scientist. Yeah, he's not a stupid man. He's a smart man. It's easy when you're hearing somebody that seems intelligent and you believe what they're saying. And there's so many things, 20%, 30%, 40%, you're like, I really agree with. And then you just don't get to the end and realize this was a setup for your downfall. Because ultimately he believes it all needs to be destroyed in the worst means possible to rebuild and to look like what? And that's what, guys, we all have to know this is playing out for end times. But I want us to pay attention to who he is influencing. It's not always the guys that we see like Candace Owens that are the most influential. It's the people they're listening to. It's the people they're taking money from.
Wow.
Well, we talked about Tucker and Qatari money and all of the Middle Eastern money. Like, where is he moving? Where is he getting the money from? Who's watching him? Who's his real audience? We need to be mindful of the ones behind the Wizard of Oz, who's behind the curtain.
Right.
Not just the great and powerful Oz, who's really behind there? Who's pulling the strings? Who is pushing the narratives? And so, no, I don't want to just burn it all down, but I will be the kind that says I'm going to fight for righteousness at all costs.
Oh, yeah.
So I might be that kind. I'm willing to fight at all costs. I might be willing to burn it all down. If God says, this is what you're going to do, you're going to go into this fire, you're going to call it out. We're willing to put it all on the line, because we talk about people like Candace, who likes to destroy people's careers. That's a thing of hers. She likes to latch on and have her people go after and attack. We saw what she did with Charlie Kirk's widow and what she's doing. And that's why it's important for us to bring these things up. They may seem like, what does it have to do with me? It has to do with us. It has to do with an attack, an underhanded, undermined attack on Christianity, on our faith. And they're not wrong. Christianity right now is vulnerable. We're vulnerable.
Right.
Are we standing on faith, or do we have large denominations who have now, like we saw in going back to Black cultural ideology? We've got churches that are doing that. We've got churches that are praising LGBTQ. Like, we've got churches that are being led by gay men and married, lesbian couple. This is in our church. So of course we're in a vulnerable state unless we stand up and turn back to the faith and call right, wrong. Get back to true Christian conservative values, biblical principles.
Exactly.
Christian biblical principles, guys, get back to it.
Exactly. And make sure we understand and are able to spot the grifters, the liars, the deceivers, folks. We're talking about Candace here in Russia. So if you look here, she has on this oversized suit jacket. And so they're saying online, I have not looked into this personally. They're saying that this is a Balenciaga suit that she's wearing, and it's worth over $3,000. All right. Now, when I first started this channel, I did an episode on Balenciaga and just all of the occults and the Satanism, all of that connected to that company and people, designers and things that worked with the company. I did a whole deep dive into it. And one of the people that was also calling it out was Candace. This was about a year or two ago. All right. And she was one of the ones calling it out. She was calling for a boycott of Balenciaga. Do you remember that, Michelle? How that Balenciaga did some really gross commercial with kids,
children. It was disgusting. I called it out. It was vile, and it is vile.
Yes, it was demonic. It was demonic. And Candace did a whole thing on it as well. And now she's wearing Balenciaga.
Because it
must be nice.
It doesn't matter. And she can buy it and afford it. You know what's funny is that I didn't realize it was Balenciaga. I was looking when I saw it. I was thinking when a lot of people were commenting that it looked like her like in an oversized outfit, that she looked like the Little Rascals. One of the Little Rascals in like an oversized jacket. But yeah, it must be nice that you can talk about these companies and then wear them because you can afford them. That's what I said earlier. Is that they preach to you from their tower with the money that they have, no consequence. They just need to say what's important, what tickles your ears at the time. And the Bible warns us about that. Those itchy ears, what we want to hear.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to show you, we want to show you this, you guys. Here she is. So here's the suit. It's check side tie blazer. It was marked down, so maybe she got it on sale. So it was originally $3,550 down to $2,130. Okay, so they're alleging that this is the suit she's wearing in these photos. Let's see here. Oh, I can't go back. Why this? Yeah, that's the suit they're alleging she had on.
She'll probably come out and deny that it was that. She'll come out with a reason. It was not, or she didn't buy it. I don't even care what, we're not even talking about what she has on. It's what she says. It's what she stands by. Right. She can wear any ugly suit that she wants to wear. Because I mean, not a good looking suit. It's just kind of ugly. It's tacky. I wouldn't wear that. I wouldn't wear that, but wear what you want to wear. There are a lot of events and I see a lot of these outfits. I'm like, wow, you have how much money and you chose that on purpose?
Yeah.
That's what you picked. Okay. And what does it have?
Very ugly.
Pads that are like that stand out a whole extra foot. I don't know what's going on there, but it's not my style. That's fine. It's when you buy into a product that you said to boycott, when you're buying into a product intentionally knowing, again, she's not stupid. She knows what she's doing. So I can't believe it. Oversights. I don't believe that.
If that is an actual Balenciaga suit, it is. This is sad. It's actually sad to me. It really is, because I mean, I remember how we talked about this company, how demonic it is. I actually fell out with my family about this, folks. This was a Christmas. This was right before Christmas. Remember? And
yeah, just because I remember like Target doing crazy things too.
Exactly.
Like, what in the world?
And the Balenciaga ad came out where they were making these kids and all these sex slave stuff. Yeah. And so I did a whole show on how demonic it was. And we were pushing the idea to boycott Balenciaga. Candace Owens was one of the ones doing the same thing. She was talking about how demonic it was. And so then Christmas came. Now my family knew my beliefs on this, but they're all leftists. And so my sister purposely wore a Balenciaga shirt, and she wore the one that had all the Balenciaga all over. This is a true story. And so at Christmas, we there, and we're there to take our regular Christmas family photo. And I said I wasn't going to get in it because I didn't support it. And she knew I didn't support it. And I told her why. And it was a huge argument. My dad got all upset. He was like, "This, you all are ruining Christmas," and da da da. And I said, "She's doing this purposely." And it was like a whole thing. But like, I want to explain how much I did not. I mean, I really did not like the Balenciaga, and I was against it because it was so demonic. And she was the one. Candace Owens was the one talking about it and stuff. And here she's in a Balenciaga suit. I just can't believe it. I can believe it, but I can't. I don't want to believe it.
No, I don't want to believe. But again, it just shows how quickly we ignore something, or it goes back to me believing that half of the stuff that she said, she never believed it.
I know, and
that it was just fake outrage.
Yeah,
to get likes, to get popularity was the thing to do at the time. It was a grift. Like a lot of the stuff we talk about when we bring her up. It makes us reflect on what we liked, what we thought we liked about her when she first came out. And we honestly did. I liked her. I was like, okay, here's a person that's making a difference. And I'm like some of the things that she's saying. There's a reason she became popular. A lot of the podcasters that I followed, or a lot of that I thought, oh, wow, this is great. And then now, wow, I liked Tucker for a long time when he was on Fox. Oh, it's not so much now. Oh, you guys in the comments.
I know, I'm cracking up.
It's hard not to. Katie's laughing. I was like, yeah, I'm looking at that.
Trying not to laugh. Allie said, it is UGLY.
That's reminding me of the old child. All I heard was UGLY. You ain't got no LY. Yeah, it's ugly. Oh my gosh. I got to call out our super sticker while we're here. Oh my gosh. So Ethel Beatty 6827. Thank you for your $10 super sticker. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I wish that super sticker was big enough to cover Candace's coat so we don't have to see it. Big enough. Whole jacket.
I know. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that does it for us tonight, folks. We will be back on Thursday night, same time, 9 p.m. Again, if you have it in your heart and your pockets to give us a super chat, we appreciate it. Folks, we do this. We don't have advertisers. We do not have, sponsors. We're doing this for you guys, for what we believe in. So, folks, if you have it in your heart to super chat, we really appreciate it. This is our last show for the month of May. Yeah. So when we see you again, we'll be back, and it will be June. On Thursday, we'll be here. So we are excited, and we're going to bring you the latest on this Christian conservative topics. Final thoughts, Michelle, for tonight.
Tonight it's fun, yes, fatigue is real on so many levels. And guys, I'm already going into June with fatigue. Because we know I just need you guys to brace yourselves. We'll see how this goes, because for the last couple of years, they really pushed the LGBTQT thing. We saw the parade board. So I'm just going to tell you, next month is the month of June. I'm really just tired of making these months about somebody's race, about somebody's again. June has become a month of idolatry, and I'm not going to accept it. I'm not going to buy in. So as you go into June, go in there in prayer. Don't go in there. We were talking about being upset. Don't go in there just being angry, because we're going to see a lot of things starting tomorrow.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
A lot of things that really are going to just be ungodly. So I'm already bracing myself. I already saw the stores going shopping. I'm like, that's right. I thought we were over this. I thought we were done with focusing on this, but we're not. And this has nothing to do with you, whatever your choice is. This has to do with pushing things that are immoral onto everyone, into accepting things. But I'm bracing myself for June. Oh,
we're going to have a show for Thursday then. We're going to have a show because we'll be almost through the first week of June by Thursday. So we're going to see.
We got one more. Scrapping Beauty gave us a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Scrapping Beauty. Said it takes a lot of effort for a guy to look better than the gal next to them in a pic. Talking about Candace. Wow.
Beauty.
UGLY. We go back to that that jacket. Oh my gosh. And we've got another super chat. Thank you, Terry Lynn, with a $25 super chat. Guys, thank you so much for being with us all the time and for just ending May with a bang. I love it. I love you guys. Really, I do.
Yes, indeed. So do I. All right. Well, again, that does it for us tonight, and we will be back on Thursday, probably with a update on what we saw this week. Let's see under President Trump's administration if we'll see any more or any less of the so-called Pride Month. We will see.
One more, LJ. With the $5 super chat.
Oh,
they're just coming in where I appreciate the Christian fellowship. Thank you, LJ. And always coming in with the comments. I love them.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. All right, we appreciate folks. Keep them coming even after we go off. You can still super chat. We need it. We appreciate you. And it shows us that you guys love what we're doing here. You know, we're with our people. We're, with people with similar values, similar, with a love for this country. Yeah. So we appreciate each and every one of you guys. And if you were blessed by this conversation, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We're here to stand on truth, speak life, and fight for faith and family. Until next time, which is Thursday, keep your eyes on Christ, your heart rooted in truth, and your voice unshaken. God bless you.
Nice on Sunday.
This is Christian Conservative. I'm KJ with Michelle Talkington.